Hi, Dana. Oh, look how pretty you are. Wow.
That's so.
So if there's some latecomers, that's okay. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So welcome. It's so great to see all of you again. And it's August already. Summer is almost over, and I'm extremely sad. I don't know about you guys, but I love summer, so I hate to see it go so quickly. We've got a great session today, so I'm very excited. But what I want to do just real quickly, I know that we did the big introduction last session, took most of the time, which is perfectly okay, but I do want to just reintroduce our AGs. In case you have not met your AG yet, I would like to have those individuals just introduce themselves real quickly. And AGs, you will be doing some facilitation for me when we go into breakout sessions. So I just want everyone to know who you are. So let's start on my screen. Let's start with Gary Mall. Gary, just introduce yourself, your club, and the clubs that you are AG for, please.
I'm Gary Mall. I'm in club with MJ at Zanesville Daybreak, and I am a new AG this year for Cambridge and Byesville.
Woohoo! Excellent. Thanks, Gary. Let's see. And then I have Diane. Diane?
Hi there, everyone. I'm Diane Conley. I'm a member of the Westerville Sunrise Rotary. MJ and I were presidents together. And I'm also a new AG, and I have Sunbury, Mount Vernon, Westerville Noon, Delaware.
Excellent. Thanks, Diane. All righty, let's see. Larry Arnold, you gotta introduce yourself. You're on mute though, buddy.
I'm Larry Arnold. I'm with the Belpre Rotary Club and also the AG for Marietta Morning, Marietta Noon, Moulton, McConnellsville, and Belpre.
Larry. And Wolf, I see you made it back in time for your introduction. So if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so Wolf Lant with the Dublin AM Club. I am AG for the Dublin Worthington Club, the Marysville Club, Upper Arlington Club, and Tri-Village Club.
Excellent. Thank you, Wolf. Now let's see, I had to go to page 2 to make sure I haven't missed anybody. We do have a couple of persons I want to introduce. All of you, Dana Vogelmeyer, working feverishly there. Dana is our district trainer, and so she's working behind the scenes. She's won actually about 95% of that wonderful binder that you received. She is responsible for putting that together. So we love Dana and all the work that she is doing and has been doing. And Rick from Marietta Morning. Rick, you want to say hello? He's actually joined Dana on the district training team. So Rick, if you'd like to introduce yourself, and he's going to kind of be Dana's liaison and going to help us through this training session as we move throughout the year. So Rick, if you'd like to say a couple words, that would be awesome.
Sure. I'm tough to limit to a couple. But my name is Rick. I am the current president of the Marietta Morning Rotary Club and served 18 months before that as president-elect. This is my second Rotary Club. My previous one was in San Antonio, Texas at the Alamo Heights Rotary Club. And I'm on the district training team, so I'll serve as a liaison and help facilitate some things. And also missed some of the president-elect calls last year, so I'm kind of going through it somewhat with you at the same time. Look forward to working with everyone.
Yeah, glad to have you, Rick. Thank you so much. And then, let's see, I don't think I've missed any AGs or anybody. We do have another distinguished guest on the call, and that would be our district governor nominee, Price Finley. Price, if you'd like to give a little wave and say a couple words, that would be awesome before we get started.
I thought you said you had invited a distinguished guest, but they weren't available, but I was.
No, I said you were the distinguished guest, so you should just run with it.
Yeah, well, you're being a little early on that. As DGN, I've still got a lot to prove. And following in MJ's steps through the process, it's been a lot of fun working with her and Steve as we try to, put our heads together and come up with ideas to keep you guys all moving along this year.
Good. Thank you, Price. And I did forget one of my, all of you AGs are my favorites, but I do have a favorite, about Joe Sexton. I forgot Joe. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure.
I love you all, but go ahead, Joe.
I'm serving in the Cambridge Club, but I have responsibility for both the Zanesville clubs, Coshocton and West Lafayette.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Sorry I missed you. You're on the top. You're like moving around. I'm hard when you can't get everybody on the screen at one time. Everybody moves around. So sorry.
Yep.
You're okay. Apologize. Oh, good. Thank you. All right. So just to kind of recap for those who weren't able to attend the first meeting, the purpose for our meetings as we go forward are basically twofold. I mentioned this in July, but twofold. So one is really to give you and provide you with the tools and information that's going to make you ready and prepare you for your year to be the best president possible for your clubs and your members. And then secondly, of course, I want everyone to kind of get to know each other and to bond and connect. And as we've got a special guest, Amy, on the call, and Amy and I were classmates. We were presidents together. And so I'm hoping that everyone will kind of connect, look at each other as a resource as we move forward, resources, exchange ideas, get ideas, talk about challenges, successes, and so forth. So it's twofold. So as we go along into this session, I'm hoping that everybody kind of gets to know one another and get familiar with one another and become good friends so that you can kind of exchange via email, phone calls, what have you. So thank you all for being on the call, and I'm excited to get started. And if you were on the call in July, you will remember that we spent probably about 35 minutes doing introductions, so we didn't have a lot of time to talk about the first chapter, which was basically strategic plans and goal setting. And so what I'd like to do is I've got a couple of polls set up. And Dana, if you could put the first poll up, and if everyone could just answer the question, just know that these are anonymous. There's no right or wrong answer. But if everybody on the call could just answer this question and tell me if your club currently has a strategic plan, that would be either a yes, no, or I don't know. If you could just answer that, that would be terrific.
We have 93% of the vote, so it looks like just 2 folks.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have 96. I'm going to go ahead and end and share.
Okay, perfect. So excellent. So 38% say that they have a strategic plan, 28% don't, and then 34% say they don't know. So that's good to know. It's something that I think that we can have some dialogue about as we go forward. So we have one other poll for so those that answered yes to the strategic plan. Let me know, and Dana, there should be one other poll on there. So for those that did say yes, when was the last time that your club, your board, reviewed that strategic plan? Was it less than 6 months ago, within 6 to 12 months, or has it been a year since you guys have looked at that? We need some music. Who wants to sing? Price, you're a good singer. Do, 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 do. No? He says no.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share.
Okay. That's awesome. That's terrific. That's great news. So, 50% have reviewed it recently, which is great. So your club strategic plan is really a long-term commitment requiring the support of all your members. Clubs that follow a strategic plan report higher levels of member engagement and retention and satisfaction. and clubs with more engaged members are more successful at achieving their goals. So for those of you that don't know that if you have a strategic plan or you don't have one, this is a great opportunity for you to really start working on that. You've got plenty of time. We're only the second month into our current Rotary year. So in your binders, you had the SWOT analysis that we didn't have a chance to really talk about last time, but you've got the SWOT analysis. I encourage you to, even if you do have a strategic plan, to use that tool in the binder and talk with your board, maybe share it with your members. This might be a great exercise if you're meeting virtually, to kind of do it on Zoom. If you need assistance on putting poll questions together or using the whiteboard in Zoom, that might be kind of a fun exercise to do. But if you, this is a great time for you to review those as you look at your strategic plan and as you begin to think about your goals for your year. Also in your binder, you should have a copy of the Rotary International's strategic plan and objectives. That is the Rotary International's plan. That would be a great model. So again, if you've got a strategic plan already, that would be a great thing to compare to see if you are in alignment. If you don't have one, or you don't know if you have one, once you find that out, again, pull that document out and take a look at it and to see if, if your plan, if you have one, aligns with that. And certainly if you don't have a strategic plan, it's a blank slate. So that would be a great tool for you to use to start putting together a strategic plan. And as we mentioned, the strategic plan will then help you to kind of guide you to put your goals together. So does anybody have any questions? Because let's kind of fast through that. And who's done a SWOT analysis before, maybe through business ventures and things like that? So most everybody's pretty familiar with that. How many have done it with their club? Has anybody done a SWOT analysis with their club before? Okay, couple, yeah. So then that would be, that would be a great conversation. Again, if you're looking for speakers and you're meeting virtually or a hybrid meeting, that would be a great opportunity while we're doing the virtual thing to have those conversations. So just a suggestion. Okie dokie. So if there's any questions, comments, Dana, was there a couple of chats? Is there anything? Do you guys have any questions as we go through? Dana will be monitoring the chat room. So if I've said something that you don't understand or it's not clear, or you have a question about some of the material or so forth, feel free to either raise your hand or put it in the chat, and then we can address it as we move forward. Good? Thumbs up? Get a virtual woohoo? We just mouthed it. Okay, so today we're on leading Rotarians, and so it's my great pleasure. We have Amy Huddleston here with us today, and she is, as I mentioned earlier, she is one of my classmates. She was the president of Granville Rotary Club in 1516. She has a wonderful bio. She said I shouldn't or don't have to read it, but she's a very smart gal, an intelligent gal, an entrepreneur, started her own business and started from 0 to 250 employees, right, Amy? So so excited to have her here. And so what I thought I would do is I wanted her to kind of share her experiences with you, talk to you about some of the things that are in our booklet, like working with a leadership team, how she kind of kept her members engaged, how she recognized members, how she motivated her members. So Amy, the floor is yours. So woohoo, go get it, girl. Woo!
By the way, I don't have in my bio that I'm smart. You said I was smart. I didn't put that in my bio, FYI, people. Just saying. Okay, so first of all, I'm really super excited to be here. Thank you. I'm a Rotary dork. I've been in Rotary for, I'm going on, I'm trying to think how old my son was.
2006 is what your bio said.
Okay, right? That's right. So he's 14, so I've been in Rotary for 14 years. And as MJ said, I was the president in 1516. So it's been a little hard for me to go back and think about what I did, but I'll tell you, I loved every second of it. So I'm really excited for all of you because this is such a neat opportunity for you to bring some new energy to the club. You know, I don't want you to think that everybody's got to do things the same exact way as the other presidents, because you don't. Like, this is your chance to, you know, bring some just bring some mojo, and we all need that right now, isn't that for sure? So what I will share is, number one, we are blessed. We've got like an amazing Rotary Club. They are very engaged individuals. We have about, I'd say only 75 members, and we'd get about 45 to 50 at lunch when we're, you know, when we're lucky. But what we're really good at is almost everybody's got a job and they all contribute. And so I think that to me is kind of one of the things you really want to focus on is just, you know, nobody has to have a huge role, but you just want everybody to be engaged and feel like they're part of this great organization. So what I did, you know, I'll kind of go different directions, but like, you know, our board would meet once a month. We have always stuck with the same time, the same day of the week. Like, it's always the first Thursday of the month at 7:45 a.m. So we just stuck with that. What I would suggest, though, I think is really helpful is when you're leading these meetings, put these agendas together and email that agenda in advance. You know, don't send it out like that morning or pass it out, because you won't make any progress in your plan for the year if you're not giving your committee kind of deadlines and guidelines to meet and share at the board meeting. So that would be a suggestion I would have, is just, you know, getting that out in advance so that you can make sure they're delivering on what they're supposed to deliver, and they're not giving you the same update that they gave you last month. So that is something that's helpful. You know, what I think is Rotary, as you'll learn in this position, I mean, I had no idea everything that Rotary does, but also everything that our club does. You know, you get into this position and you're going to start to see, like, you know, every line item in your budget and what you spend your money on, what you raise money for. And I will tell you, most of your members have no idea everything that you do. So a big thing that was important for me is I felt like I just want to do a great job of making my club members feel engaged and feel really like awesome about everything this club does. Like MJ does the woohoo. I would do that almost every week. And I had a part on my agenda that was called the Did You Know? And so I always put that on every week. And I would say, did you know that our club gives $8,000 out each year in scholarships to these types of students? You know, our club, because you're always getting new members, you're getting people that aren't there every week. You can't assume they know everything. And I think it was just really great for a lot of people to learn, oh my gosh, like I had no idea all the little things that we're doing. And so I would encourage you to do that too. You know, dig deep into that. Like, you know, I had no idea that even at Christmas time, we do $500 and we adopt a family. Like, you know, that just gets done, but nobody ever knew about it because no one talks about it. So I think it's important that you continually remind your club all the awesome things that you're doing and that Rotary International does. And what I would also do, do you have raffles at your meetings? Like the tickets? Okay. So, you know, they're like $1, whatever. They're not expensive. I would always buy some extra tickets each week. And I would at the meeting be like, you know, after my Did You Know, I would be like, I need to give a shout out to these 6 members who, you know, donated blood at our blood drive. And I would hand them out so they would get an extra chance to win the bucket of, and did my woohoo, because I was just, it's something tiny, but I felt like I'm giving them recognition to say, really appreciate you representing Rotary and what you did. And thank you so much. And I hope you win and somebody did win, by the way, one week, which was awesome. Like I forget how much money it was. So it's, you know, cost me like $3, but it gives them the recognition. I would say, what else? I think the thing that I did not get to tackle that I would still love to tackle, and I don't have the time to do it at this point, is I have always had an issue with not getting new members engaged. I feel like we do a good job of, you know, maybe we meet them for coffee or something and they come to have lunch and they attend, and it's kind of like you just expect them to just go get involved. You know, here's all the things we do, go pick something. Well, you know, I mean, everybody has different personalities. You've got introverted people who are not going to be as outgoing and you know, may not be as likely to be like, hey, I'll help with this, but if you ask them individually, they would. So I think that's something I would love for you to keep in mind is make an effort. I don't have a great suggestion, but I'd love to like dig into that one day of if somebody does have a great idea of how they truly get new members involved. You know, I don't love the idea of that checklist of, hey, make sure they do all these things. I feel like you've got to find their passion. You know, maybe their passion is international, so that's why I want to get them into that committee. Here's the person who runs that committee. So that's important. And I'll say too, when I would induct a new member, I'll be honest, I hate when people stand there and they're like, you are being inducted into the world's largest service organization. I just did you are like joining the best service organization in the world. And like, we do all these amazing things and here's what your club does. Here's your pin. We're so happy to have you. You know, like make it fun, make it like, you know, don't just read the script. Like, it's just like, this is an amazing organization that we're part of. So just kind of bring some jazz to it is my opinion. I mean, that's kind of like that's my update. I'm trying to think of like what else I can add. MJ, like what else would you ask me? Because like those are just the biggest thing to me is educate your members on all that you do, because nobody knows. They'll be blown away by it. So make that part of your regular communication.
Yeah, I love that, Amy, that you said that you did a did you know? Because like you said, and I know from my own experience, I joined Rotary probably about the same year, Amy, as you did, 2006, but I didn't really understand Rotary until I was asked to be our club sergeant at arms, and I sat on the board, and then it was like, oh my goodness, Rotary is so much more than just sitting in this room with all these wonderful people. I mean, there are so many spokes to this Rotary wheel that it is mind-boggling. So the more education and the more information that you could provide on that weekly basis, like, did you know our club contributed X number of dollars last year to fund this project? You know, did you know that, you know, we gave so much money for an international project? So I love that idea. And that's a great way to inform current members and then the new members. Because like you said, you don't know, not everybody attends a meeting every time. So, you know, there might be information you think that, oh, everybody knows this. Well, no, not everybody does know that. So I love that idea. And then the membership idea that you have. So Dylan from my club, Dylan, you want to talk about the new member, is Dylan still here? New member program that the Zanesville Daybreak's doing a little bit? Can't hear you, Dylan. You're not on mute, so I don't know why we can't hear you. All right, well, you work on that. And then, Amy, did you, like, the motivation? So you mentioned fun and kind of the woo-hoo thing. So how did you motivate? I mean, how did you motivate? How did you run your actual meetings? Were there, you know, did you do fun things during the meetings? How did you keep your members engaged through the meetings?
I mean, I think we're a much more relaxed club than maybe like Newark, our neighbor, is. You know, they run a little. Yeah, Eric's on the call. Like they follow the book. It's very traditional. We're a little more laid back, and so we laugh a lot. But we've always followed the same agenda. Like our president will always follow that same agenda of, you know, you ring the bell, we do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we would go through it. But I just think it's more instead of you just following that agenda, that's where I'm saying add the, like, did you know, add the raffle tickets, like reward the people and recognize them for those that are truly representing our club in the community. And you can do that every week because there are people doing stuff every week for Rotary. I mean, from, you know, had no idea, like you nominated someone for the vocational award, or you guys helped put our float together for the parade. Like, but there's always something that you can recognize people for. And that's what I would just say is, that was what I use. I mean, I think more, it's just your energy too, the energy that you bring to the room. Just like I said, when you're like, if you're inducting a new person, I just am like, that's not as engaging to me when you just read from that script and stare at it versus
Right.
you're,
Right.
you know, you're joining like the best service organization in the world, you know, and I mean, and you still get the point across without me reading this like, you know, boring page long thing. So, but our presidents still have gone back to that. So clearly I didn't make that big of an impact on them, but you know, that's just you're the one that is controlling that energy in the room. So you set the tone that you want it to be. But I think you've just got a lot of great stuff that you can educate your members about that can make them almost get, you know, when you're sharing things that they may not be aware of, that's also an invitation for them to get invited to participate in it. You know, did you know that we did this international project? And, you know, hey, if this interests you, here's the committee. You know, we'd love to see you after the meeting. So it's just constant education for them instead of just going off the, all right, I've got nothing. Yeah, you do. Like, you've got stuff that you can share because Rotary is amazing. And the other thing I was going to share is you'll get your speakers for the year. You know, you probably have somebody doing that. And Rotary has a theme every month. You know, I don't know if you knew that or not. I wasn't even sure of that. But when you look at those themes,
that should be in their binders. I think
in your binder. Okay, so
binders, yeah.
Like on Youth Exchange, for instance, I don't know what month that is, but I feel like that gives you a chance to say, hey, did you know this is Youth Exchange month? Did you know that our club has hosted, you know, and I found out like how many we'd had each year and like how many we've actually hosted of exchange students and what benefit that brings. So it's just kind of constant reminders of, you know, everything Rotary's doing, but that can give you a kind of a baseline of this is the theme I'm going to go with if you wanted to do that by month. Oh, you muted.
Yep. So Amy, you had mentioned something too. I think it's very important, and I'm sure there's a lot of business persons on the call and managers and so forth. And in your business, you know how important it is to recognize and you know, acknowledge persons when you're working with them. It's the same thing in Rotary, that if you make an effort to recognize and acknowledge all the things that they're doing, not only in Rotary, but they may also be, your members are probably most likely involved in other things as well. So it's really cool. And you know how it makes it, you know, somebody gives a shout out to you in a room, you know, oh, Mary Jane, you know, great job on whatever project. It may or may not be Rotary. So you know, when I was president, I made sure to acknowledge individuals for their accomplishments, whether it was Rotary or not. I recognized anniversaries. We recognized birthdays. So, you know, that helps to keep members engaged and makes them feel important. So I love that you mentioned that.
Yes. Thought of one other thing and then I just lost my train of thought. If I think of it, I'll chime in, but shoot, I forgot. Oh, this is what I was going to suggest. You're going to get some members that have been in it for a long time, and this is always the way we've done it, and this is how we're supposed to do it, and that's a bunch of hogwash. Okay, so you don't need to listen to that. One thing I will suggest is like kind of when I did become the president, I was like, okay, do we have some good documentation here on like, you know, what each of these chairs do, like this international chair and this, you know, and everybody was like, no, like this is how, you know, and then they would just like verbalize, this is what we do. And I was like, yeah. Okay. So document it is a great thing, is to just ask your chairs to do that, to say, because they're not going to be there forever. Let's be realistic. And so let's just ask, like in this leadership position of your committee, could you just document for me what you do in that role and maybe who your contacts are? And then that way you've got a good, kind of just a good table of contents where if you're going to get a replacement for somebody, I think it's a lot easier if you give them a piece of paper that says, here's what's expected of this position versus, you know, you'll figure it out. It's okay. Like, so I would say kind of getting your house in order is a good opportunity. And do not listen to people that are like, this is always the way it needs to be done, because to me, you're going to always do things better, always. And so, you know, just embrace that attitude. But that's my other 2 cents. Good night. You're
Hello,
muted,
Mary
MJ.
Jane.
I know. I'm one of those people. So does anybody, that's great information. Does anybody have any questions for Amy? Put your hand up or put it in the chat. I think it's great information. And actually her comment about this is the way we always do things, or having individuals that may not be interested in going down a new path is a great segue for our breakout sessions that we're going to have. So Stacy's got a question. She's got her hand up. Stacy?
No, it was an applause.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Sorry.
We love that. Thank you. All right. So is there anybody have any questions for Amy? Amy, we're so excited that you shared with us. So it's a great, exciting time for all of you. I mean, some of you have I know Vic just joined us. He's a president-elect from West Lafayette. I think this is his third or fourth time. So I'm sure he's just as excited this time around as he was the very first time. But so many of you, this is your first time, and it is a very exciting adventure. So, and really, the slate is really very clean. You can pretty much do anything that you want to do and go any direction that you want, as long as you've got the support of your board and your members. So I failed to introduce one of our AGs. So before we go out into the breakout session, Mark, would you like to introduce yourself? I'm so sorry for missing you. Introduce what club you're from and then the clubs that you have as AG, please.
I will. You didn't miss me. I was a little bit late getting on, Mary Jane. So.
Okay. Shoot. Oh, thank you.
I'm Mark Bysang. I'm with the Athens Sunrise Rotary Club, and I have the Middleport Pomeroy Club, both Athens clubs, Logan and Nelsonville.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And thank you for getting me off the hook. Okay, so it is, let's see, we're just about 5:32. So does everyone have their binders on them? They do? Oh, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend, Dana, probably about 20 minutes in a breakout room. And so what I'd like, AGs, you didn't know this in advance, so this is all new for you, but you're going to be in a breakout room with a group of president-elects. I would like you to be kind of the facilitator for each of these scenarios, and I will assign each of you a scenario. So make sure that they introduce each other to everybody, what club they're with, and get a volunteer, because once we come back from the breakout, we'll do just a kind of report. So I'll say, Mark, who's reporting for your group, and you'll introduce that person, and then you will, they will then talk about their scenario and how they will solve them. So in your binder, you've got 4 scenarios. And so Gary, your group, number 1. Gary, let's do scenario number 1. Gary Mall. Larry Arnold, you're going to be scenario number 2 in your room 2. Mark, you'll do scenario 3, room 3. And Joe, your scenario 4, room 4. And then Diane, we'll go back to 1 for you in room 5. And then Wolf will go to scenario 2 for you in room 6. So again, you'll have 20 minutes to kind of go over this information, and then we'll report back here and just share with what everybody's come up with. So have fun, and don't forget to introduce yourself. And we'll a couple times.
And Jason, when you get your pop-up, just don't accept. And Gary Mall, if yours does not say breakout group number 1, I don't think it's going to. Just stay in the main room. And
Okay.
then I'll move you after. Okay. I'm trying to get an AG in each one. You should get a pop-up now and just click join.
Where are these 4?
And maybe not necessarily in this order, but 1, always kind of bringing things back to the goal of the club. Right? What's the goal of the club and what are we trying to do? And then honestly, our whole conversation came back full circle for the beginning, right? Why do we get together and what are we good at? So kind of really bringing back to the goal in mind. 2, when there's competing ideas, really asking others for their feedback. And we talked about some different ways to ask for feedback. One is, of course, just to have a conversation. But as we shared earlier, sometimes you have introverts, sometimes you have extroverts. People communicate differently. And so we also had 2 clubs that have done surveys. Our club has done surveys in the past using SurveyMonkey, and it's anonymous, and we email it out, and we get a really good response rate. So you get a little anonymity there. Other clubs have maybe done surveys where one person was in charge and they reached out to the other club members, whether again it was through email or personal contact, to collect the feedback from them. So a couple different ways, but the important part is asking for the feedback. I think our third point was, again, really going back to look at the bigger picture and looking for some data to support getting to that goal. And so that becomes the conversation of working through advantages or different disadvantages, pros and cons, things of that nature. And so a little bit more micro focused when we're talking about type and time, you know, do we offer different membership types? One of our clubs is in an area where there's college age students and they want to be involved in doing service hours, but maybe not full meetings. So do we have a little different price difference until they're full-time working adults? Do we offer different prices based on if you're having a meal or not having a meal? Do we offer different options with time? And so getting there. And I think the last point, the fourth point, when there are opposing views, don't forget to ask why. Really seek to understand. Sometimes there's history. It's not always that someone's stuck in their ways and doesn't want to change. They have maybe seen this cycle once or twice or more than that before. So look to understand their point of view and then how you can incorporate that into the solution. And you're on mute.
Fabulous. Yep. Fabulous. Thank you, Stacey. That's awesome. So we also had Diane, your group also had scenario 1. Would you like to go ahead and introduce one of your president-elects if they had some additional ideas for that scenario?
Sure, and the report out now was much more specific. We really talked a lot about dealing with change. So Steve from Dublin Worthington is our reporter.
Yeah.
All right, Steve.
Hard to follow Stacy because she did such a great job, and I'll admit that our conversation was a bit meandering. I mean, it was valuable, but a little meandering. And we may have skipped over actually the heart of the question, which was how to actually persuade these people. And we kind of went to, well, and Amy was in my group, you know, times are changing and we need to kind of make changes. And so that's kind of why we have a board. And if the majority of the board agrees that we're going to make a change, then it, you know, it's okay that people might be upset or feel like it was the wrong decision because it's really a majority rule. And that's by design. So we kind of got stuck on that aspect. And we felt pretty good about it as a team, I think.
Good. Good. And I mean, that's just change is hard sometimes, but I think if you can share and explain the why you're doing the things that you're doing, a lot of times those persons that maybe are resisting for one reason or another might help to understand it a little bit. So I love that. Thank you very much. Okie doke. Thank you, Steve. All right, Larry Arnold, you had scenario 2. So if you want to just briefly talk about your scenario and then introduce, you're on mute, buddy. I can't hear you. So, and then introduce your president-elect, if you would.
Okay, we've got another spokesman, so I'll just step back.
All right, and who is your spokesman, Larry?
I think it's me.
Yes.
Okay, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. Well, scenario 2 wasn't very specific, but it involved a domineering past president and basically making it difficult for the current president to fulfill his role. And we were a little bit of different minds, but really sort of the same result as to how you want to proceed. And basically, one idea was to have you know, the current president talk to the past president about reasons why and stuff like that, and explain the current direction, the board's values, what we're trying to do, and see if we could way to compromise and fit what he wants, interested or passionate about into it. But overall is to make sure that, like what you said before, every member feels like they're engaged. So you need to have a place for everybody to engage in something that they're passionate about and can work. And so maybe it's not the project or the same level as what he wanted, but work to negotiate to something else that, you know, is useful and has at least enough people, more than one person that wants to do it, and do that as a project. And there were a few other scenarios because it wasn't obvious exactly what that scenario was looking for. So we spent a lot of time just discussing it. But back to what you said, having a 3 to 5 year plan of how something pans out, having agreement from the board, trying to pick projects to fit along with that, and recognize that change is going to happen and that people need to accept that and try to figure out how you can make those changes work for the new demographics that your club is acquiring, and just stay as a strong, vibrant club.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And then we also had Wolf. I think your group also had scenario 2. So would you like to introduce your president-elect? You're on mute. I need like a little sign. You're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, Joni Stevens from the Marysville Club is our spokesman. So take it away,
Okay.
Joni.
All right, Joni.
I really don't have much experience with past presidents. Being in our club, we've had a lot of turnover, so we kind of discussed that a little bit. We have a past president who was our president a couple of years ago and returned, so we kind of used them. But I think it's important we discuss when we're having conversations with some of the domineering personalities, but it's important to listen to them, repeat back to them what they said to us, and this is what I believe you're trying to say. So they know that we care and we're trying to understand, but on the other hand, you know, also moving forward. So kind of being adaptable and situational, it just all depends on what's going on there, but also controlling the big meetings. That's not, you know, trying to have them coming in to you during the big meeting versus maybe guiding them to the smaller meetings. The board meetings would be a better venue to further discuss that.
Yeah.
And if we still can't seek to get an understanding, maybe bring it to a vote as a last resort. Also meeting with them privately, you know, just to discuss that situation, get their feelings, because, you know, you might have some mutual ground, but then also it's okay sometimes to just agree to disagree in some things and just moving forward.
Great. Thanks, Joni. I think somebody's already mentioned that, you know, we don't necessarily know the history sometimes. And so asking that, you know, why do you feel that way, or why are you approaching it this way, and help me understand what you're saying so I can, you know, figure out where we can meet kind of in the middle. So that's perfect. Good job. Good job. All right, Mark, you had scenario 3. So if you'd like to kind of just describe scenario 3 and then introduce your president-elect to share, that would be awesome.
Okay, our scenario was Josh comes to club meetings regularly and is great at social events. He's a corporate accountant. His skills could be used in the club, but Josh has never volunteered to be a club officer, run a committee, or chair a club event. What do you do? And we've got Chuck Adams from the Zanesville Noon Club that is going to give our scenario.
Yeah. So voting on what Amy said earlier, you know, first thing we're going to do is just ask them to get involved, right? They may not feel invited to do that, so we want to make sure they do. And then another thing we mentioned was invite them to see kind of behind the curtain. So invite them to the board meeting, invite them to see some of the things that are happening within the club so that they feel more attached to it. Also exploring what their interests are and project ideas. You know, as a new person coming in, it's not always easy to get your ideas out there. And so, you know, trying to explore that with them. Next would be invite them to work on something with you or with another member so that they not feel like they're doing it by themselves. And then finally, you know, an intentional membership, maybe not necessarily, as Joe put it, not necessarily a formal membership, but excuse me, mentorship, but a, you know, intentional mentorship where you've got somebody that's just touching base with them and they feel like they're building a relationship there so that they have a way to get involved.
Yeah. I love the mentorship idea. That gives them someone to kind of just pal around, ask questions. So mentorship is excellent. And I tried to get Dylan, but he was having some audio problems before. But his club would do. I think some of the clubs in our district already do this, but they have a new member project each year. So they budget like $500, and so the members that are new to that particular year, then they meet and discuss and develop a new project. So it might be, whatever they're passionate about, which is a great idea. And our club did that this year. So very good. Thank you, Chuck. And then Joe, you had probably the hardest one, I'm thinking. Maybe Dana gave that to you on purpose. So if you'd like to share your scenario and then introduce your president-elect.
Will do.
Terrific.
Our scenario is that we had a female presenter at a club meeting from another club. So she's a Rotarian from another club giving a presentation, and we had several males sitting at a table, and one of the male members was harassing her during the presentation. So she cut her presentation short, was uncomfortable. And AJ from St. Clairsville, president-elect, is going to discuss, tell you what we talked about.
All right, AJ.
All right, thank you, Joe. The others in our group were Nancy, Bob, and Anna. And we discussed this issue, and we also agreed we had the toughest scenario of any of the groups. But yeah, the first thing we would do is apologize to the speaker. Talk to her, explain that the comments made by that one individual are not reflective of the entire club. The speaker is a Rotarian, so maybe offer to attend one of their meetings or assist her with one of their club's projects. And then we would make sure that this issue is brought to the board's attention. Maybe they are aware of if this is ongoing behavior for this individual, or maybe they're not, but we would want to bring it to their attention, and then based on that discussion, talk to this male club member, making sure there's at least 2 other people present, but talk to him why this isn't acceptable. Refer to the 4-way test. It really doesn't meet any of the of the 4 principles of the 4-way test. And make sure that the issue is resolved, because we would not want this to be repeated again if this is ongoing behavior for this this individual member.
Yeah, terrific. All great ideas, and that is a tough one. And unfortunately, I think probably all of us might have experienced that in our own clubs, as far as there's always that member that might, just kind of say things that have always been okay, or just, seems like they're harmless, but really they're not. And certainly when we're trying to get new members in and a new demographic and so forth, that might not necessarily be the right behavior. And I think the theme really, Amy, you probably started it, the theme is really what I'm hearing, and really all of these scenarios is just communication, conversation, listening, and just kind of just making sure that everybody's kind of okay and everybody understands where they're coming from. So does anybody have anything else that they'd like to add? I know we're 8 minutes past time, and I promised it wouldn't last any longer than an hour, and now it's not the truth, so I'm so sorry. Anybody else have anything they want to add? All great. I appreciate everyone sharing. Great job this evening. I hope you had an opportunity to meet somebody that you haven't met before in your breakout. So we'll continue doing this as we move forward. Just a few reminders. Do keep track. Hopefully the Rotary International website is now back online today. So please get back on there and check out the Learning Center and start taking some of the Learning Center classes. Remember that the strategic plan, you do get bonus points for having a strategic plan. You have until pre-pets and pets to present that. and to give that to me. So start working on that. And like I said, there's all kinds of opportunities for points. And the reason you're doing those points is if you want to go to the Texas International Convention, if you are one of the high point earners, you will be in the running to go to the Texas Rotary International Convention on the district's dime. So keep track of all the Learning Center classes that you're taking and keep track of all of your points and so forth. 2 events happening real quick. We've got in the Tuesday, 25th, Jenny Stotts, our district membership chair, is hosting a Meet Rotary event that's open to all individuals who maybe are thinking about Rotary or want to learn more about Rotary. She's put a great program together. And so if you've got new members that are brand new, they would be great to join in this. If you've got people that you're trying to join or trying to convince to join Rotary, this would be a great event for them to attend because there's going to be a lot of ideas, a lot of conversation about what Rotary really is and what we do. So that is the 25th of August, and I think it's 6 o'clock, Dana, 6 o'clock. And if anybody needs that link or would like information about that, please just shoot me an email or text. And then finally, the fall seminar is a virtual fall seminar. That's September 12th. That's a Saturday, I believe, social hours at 8:30. It goes to, program will start at 9 and I think 11:30 ending. Dana has done a terrific job in lining up. There was a survey given to individuals that attended the last district training, and they really wanted to hear more about organizations that Rotary might be able to help. So she's done a wonderful job. Her and her committee have put together 5 nonprofits that are going to present. We've got one that's Form 5 Prosthetics. She's telling me it's a 21-year-old individual that started his own business and making prosthetics, and he has a prosthetic himself. So he has a great story. We're going to have somebody from Habitat, actually from the Zanesville Club, Habitat, Red Cross, and then there'll be an individual there talking about human trafficking, along with some other exciting things. So if you are free that Saturday, September 12th, I encourage you to tune in and be a part of the program. With that being said, I want to thank Amy for joining us, for being our guest speaker, for sharing her experiences with us. Come join us anytime. We'd love to have you come back. But thank you for being here and taking the time. Thank the AGs for facilitating, and certainly I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be here this evening. And our next meeting it will be September 16th. So I will send out a reminder and another new link, but it'll be September 16th, say 5 o'clock. Same time, same back channel.
Have a great year, everybody.
Okay.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you, Amy. Yes. All right, everyone. Have a great
Bye.
night. Thanks so much for your participation. We'll
Bye,
see you in a
everyone.
month.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.
Okay, perfect.